And Jill can do the prayer?
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be great. Uh-oh, that's not a little sinus cough or anything, is it? Allergies, it seems like allergies are all over the place.
My husband might not have a voice. Something kind of, I think it's a cold that we've been battling. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know.
Six PM.
Want to stand and do the, Mr. Griffin do the pledge of allegiance, and then Mr. Preston do the prayer.
Be glad to.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Lord, we pray that your presence be with us tonight, guide us in our decisions. We give you thanks, Lord, for the gift of this season. We remember the birth of your son, and we're just so thankful that you call us together in relationship with you and with those around us. Bless this night in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, I'm going to call to order the Utilities Commission meeting December 18th, 2017 to order. So, yep. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Griffith,
Here.
Vice Chairman Holcomb,
Here.
Chairman Beanbaugh,
Here.
Commissioner Ritz Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Davenport.
All right, Mr. Mitchum, is there any agenda changes, additions, or deletions?
We do have an add-on on the agenda on the consent items F.
Okay.
I believe you all have a copy.
Correct. Do we have a copy of agenda item F?
Yes. Thank you.
At this time, we want to open up the floor to any public participation. If there's anybody that'd like to come up, please state your name and your address and before you speak. It's 3 minutes. Anybody? No takers. All right. I want to move for the approval of the consent items. Does anybody have any that they would like to pull? That
Move we approve A through E, maybe a little discussion on F, since it's new for everybody.
okay?
But move at least we approve A, B, C, D, and E.
Second. Ms. Simmons, please call the roll.
Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Holcomb,
Yes.
Chairman Beanbaugh,
Yes.
Commissioner Ritz Parker.
Yes. F. Do you want to let us know what F was?
Mr. Barley?
As you know, we're tearing down Smith Street, and the 2 employees that work there, we need to relocate them until we can get the new facilities built out at the Western Complex. So we had originally leased a work trailer, and it was very bad shape, and so we decided to purchase one that we can use afterwards at other job sites if needed. So that's half of the project here, and the other half is we have some Conex storage boxes where they're keeping their tools and equipment and supplies. And this is just some concrete footers to levelize the Conex boxes that are already there.
Okay.
And the reason it's on the agenda is because combined for the two items, they're over 50,000.
All right. Any questions?
That's why one of the sale agreement here, that's why something's dated September 26th? Because we've got this mod space sale agreement,
Yes,
and the sale agreement date is September 26th of 17.
that was the quote date, I believe.
You know, I can't really tell.
Yeah, it says sale
Yeah,
agreement date.
another reason that it's on the December agenda item is because the quote for the trailer and the quote for the concrete were done by two separate areas, and then I didn't get them pulled together until this meeting to be one specific item, because they were handled by different departments.
Okay. I move for approval.
Second?
Simmons, please call roll.
Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Holcomb,
Yes.
Chairman Beanbaugh,
Yes.
Commissioner Ritz Parker.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchum, the general manager's report.
Berlinski.
Commissioners, for the month ended November 30th, 2017, the Utilities Commission's change in net assets for the combined system is a positive $4,526. As a shoulder month for November, little or no AC or heat is usually utilized, so break even is a favorable result for this type of month. The balance in the fuel and purchase power account is an over-recovery of $1,955,000, which is an increase of approximately $259,000 for the month, and it's moving in the right direction for this period of time.
So you feel comfortable with everything?
Yes.
I do have a question. I'm referring to our new schedule that you're doing for
Sure.
us, Mr. Belinsky, which is, all the pages aren't numbered, but it's, after you get past the graphs, then there's pages 1 through 7. It's 2 pages after that.
Okay. The one on the restricted R&R
Right.
activity? Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And I just want to clarify, I'm seeing that in November, that we spent $408,000 related to Hurricane Irma.
Correct.
And what were the nature of those expenditures?
Most of those expenditures at this point are for the mutual aid from the other electric utilities who came in and helped restore the grid.
Okay.
Okay.
And so the reason I'm asking, because I thought that we had said that the monies that were in this, that this is what is capital, right?
The restricted fund is primarily for capital usage, but can be used for other emergency-type items, which this would be.
Okay. So we have designated internally that these monies, they're not restricted, it's our unrestricted R&R fund.
Correct.
Okay, but it's for capital, which would be defined as anything over a certain dollar amount?
We define anything capital that has a life longer than a year as any expenditure over $1,000.
Okay. Or emergency expenditures?
Expenditures of any nature, whether it be capital or expense, in order for us to be able to pay for those expenditures.
And would that normally be considered, like would a hurricane, would a storm kind of be the only thing that would?
For the most part, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
One question, it's not on here.
Sure.
The receivables from the hurricane, how are we coming with recovering our money, or what's
Okay,
outstanding?
Matthew, we've gone from eligible to obligated to now approved within the last couple of weeks. So hopefully by designating it now as approval, we should see a check or checks from both FEMA and the state for their 75% FEMA, 12.5% from the state, within a month or two, hopefully.
And how much is that? About?
We're filing for $1.1 million, so 87.5% of that should be about $1 million. Okay, as far as Irma goes, we had a quote-unquote kickoff meeting with FEMA on the 7th of December. We have 60 days to compile all our costs and put together a project worksheet, is what they call it, in order to file for reimbursement. So we're in the process of gathering all of our employee costs and vehicle costs at this time, and don't see any problem meeting that 60-day deadline,
Okay, so
which
you're-
should be early February.
So you're compiling that number now, you don't have that number, the 1.1, or you have an idea?
Well, obviously, we have what we've paid to the outside electric companies,
Right.
which is the 600,000. I'm 750, 800,000 in total with all the employee expenditures.
Is that normal? I mean, we're talking over a year?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
for them to not-
unfortunately, yes, it
We
is.
asked, I'm sure we asked pretty quick.
Experience from back in the 04 and 05 hurricanes. a
What
year
I was
is
going to
not-
say is that the
not
year is good.
Atypical, yeah.
I mean,
not
a year
year.
is good.
A year is
So aren't we supposed to become more efficient? Isn't that the program?
Not with
For
FEMA.
13 years, right, yeah.
Not with
All
FEMA.
right. We keep telling us all these, we've learned, we've gotten better. So, see, we haven't, all right.
Can I ask another question? This is not, but it's a financial thing, because I communicate with Debbie via email. It's just for us to be on the same page. I did get a draft of the RFP to staff on Wednesday.
Correct.
But have you completed your review yet?
Completed, no, I've looked,
Okay.
I think we've all done a cursory review, but I don't think that we will have a problem getting a final and working with you toward a final that we can get on the agenda for January and then get it out in the field.
But you think that'll be fine? If we can get together, that we'll,
Yes.
okay,
By January's agenda, I don't see any
okay,
problem
okay.
with that.
Okay, Debbie, can you make sure that makes it on the agenda? The audit RFP, and I can contact you after the holidays.
Sure.
If we need to get together and talk about it
We
anymore.
need to work on a couple.
Okay,
things.
thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else for Mr.
Yeah,
Walensky?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Mr. Belinsky, we had a lady come forth last month and say something about the bills going out and their checks not coming from Social Security or whatever, and there was a couple of days in there that they needed some relief. Have you been able to meet with her and get something done on that?
We have not met with her as of yet.
Do you have her name and number that you can contact her?
I can get it from Mrs. Simmons.
Would you please?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Griffin?
Couple of just quick operational questions, one for Mr. Belinsky and one for Mr. Hoover. Our reimbursement for our loan, 1.2 million loan, we close that before the end of the year, or is that?
That's
Yeah.
actually a question for me and Mr. Wainscott. I believe we have now all the costs associated. You're talking about State Road 44?
Yes, I'm sorry,
sewer?
right, yes, I am. SSLA, 1.2 million.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Derek Wayne Scott, Director of Engineering. We have all of the costs, we're just compiling them, and we'll have that before the end of the week. Well, I'm not anticipating any further costs on this project at all.
Okay, good. And then the process for dealing with the city?
I will be working with the Director of Finance at the city, Althea Fullord,
Okay.
on putting together the numbers and getting
Yeah, I just
reimbursement.
want to keep the visibility and out there
Correct.
and all. Sure.
Yes.
And Mr. Hoover, it's getting dry again. We going to be under some allocation issues regarding reclaim? Or what is your latest process? By the way, another great job in keeping all the reclaimed water in the ponds.
Yes, sir.
8 years now, 8.5 years,
8 plus.
8+. Good.
About 101 months. So,
Amazing.
Dave Hoover, Water Resources Director. The drought is upon us. We are at the bottom of the operating level of our 13-acre reuse pond, which is the reason we need the 20-acre expansion and ultimately a 200-acre pond out there at the Western Utility Complex, so that when we have a vast increase in the number of connections for reuse customers. Right now, we have about 1,700. In the end, we'll probably have something like 17,000. And if the customers
Wow.
don't have enough reuse at times like this, and we don't have enough pond storage for augmentation of what we treat, we do ration. Right now, we've reduced the operating pressure on the midnight shift when the residential reclaim people normally have their timer set. And for the golf courses, we're alternating days. Instead of every day topping all of our 7 ponds off, it's every other day.
Has that been communicated now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
good. I just haven't heard, that's why I wanted to check.
I'd be surprised if we hadn't made a personal call.
Oh,
I
I'm sure we
directed that
have.
to happen last week.
Yeah, I'll follow up on it tomorrow.
Okay.
Good, thank you. I just ensure we
check.
got the process out there so we all are trying to work together and make it happen and
Right.
spread the wealth.
What's
Or
unusual
spread the water.
is normally when the temperatures are cooler and nothing's growing, people don't use as much reclaimed, but it's not seeming to happen this year. Everybody's still
right.
using it. It's a little warmer than usual,
Yeah.
but still, if I judge my yard, I don't really use the timer frequencies that I normally use during growing cycles. So maybe not so with commercial properties, but
Yeah.
everybody else is using it to beat the band, it seems.
Well, we're all probably carrying over from the storms, thinking that we've got plenty of water in reserve, that we've probably had 4 or 5 inches of rain, but we haven't,
Well,
since the storms. We had
All
about an inch and a
around
half.
our property, we have monitoring wells.
Yeah.
And those monitoring wells, even when we draw the pond down, usually stay up. And there's recharge from what we call the water table or the superficial aquifer.
Mm-hmm.
The water table itself is now down.
Down, yes,
Our
big
monitoring
time.
well near the pond are all down, mirroring that the pond itself is down, and it doesn't look like there's any relief in sight. So instead of being able to give out 4.5 million gallons a day, we're only giving out 3.5. That's what we treat.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hoover.
Unfortunate, but we're doing our best, and we have plans for the
I'm
future.
sure you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, Commission Council's report, Mr. Preston.
I have no report this month. Thank you.
Old business,
Gotta act on this, right? Yes. We have to act on this tonight, right?
yes, that's what I understood the last time they were here.
Yes.
Yeah, you may recall a few months ago when Mr. Williams from FMPA came and gave a presentation on the Vero Beach situation, and Mr. Frank Gaffney, who's the Chief Operating Officer from FMPA, is here tonight if there are any questions, but essentially this is the documents we have to approve in order for Vero Beach to get out of their obligations and sell their utility.
Right. And we feel comfortable with where we sit.
Yes.
Okay.
Chairman Holcomb, with respect to the contract and all, nothing's really changed since the presentation here.
No.
Our contract continues,
Yes.
and period of time for that, length of time, term?
I believe it's for the length.
Duration.
The duration of
Okay.
the plant, the
All right.
nuclear plant.
Good, and no further fees expected, or
No,
any other expenditures?
Amount that we're getting won't change, our costs won't change. Really, all requirements of the Florida Municipal Power Agency, they're taking on the obligation.
Right. Basically, what was being vacated was being assumed by the person.
FMPA.
Right, correct.
Good, okay. Thanks.
So we need to make a motion to approve that.
So
Yeah.
moved.
Second.
Ms. Simmons, please call the roll.
Okay, this is UC Resolution Number 317. Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Holcomb,
Yes.
Chairman Beanbaugh,
Yes.
Commissioner Ritz Parker.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 7, new business? No new business.
No, no.
We always want new business, don't you? That's how you grow, right? You got new business.
Gotta have.
Gotta have new, we want to make sure we keep that line full. Okay. Possible other business time, again, I thought this was, we approved this last month.
We did not approve it.
We didn't, so we
It
didn't.
got left.
Oh, okay, so we didn't vote on it.
No, you did not. And then this is a second invoice.
Okay.
That was, came this past month, I believe.
All right, so then we'd be voting to pay both invoices.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we need a motion. Should we go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Griffin?
yeah, Mr. Vice Chairman, a quick question for Commissioner Brits Parker. I'm
Yes.
assuming you're comfortable and
Yes,
everything
I
is
am.
okay on
And
this?
actually, I hate that we didn't pay him his first invoice, because I don't think it's very professional to leave
Yes.
something sitting more than 30 days.
I saw that.
We failed to talk about it at the meeting. In hindsight, I wish that maybe we could have been contacted individually to approve it so that in good faith we could pay it timely, but that's water under the bridge. I am comfortable to pay it, and I do believe that Mr. Cloud will be contacting the commissioner sometime after the new year to meet with us individually.
Great.
And move forward with this process. So I would like to move for approval to pay both invoices. Mr. Belinsky, since he's got one invoice that he's been waiting on for over 30 days, could we pay him really quickly?
Our next pay cycle is this Thursday, so if we can
That's
get
pretty
this
quick.
downstairs before Thursday.
Okay.
On Wednesday and run it through, no problem.
So we can make that happen, right?
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Okay.
Good, it's Christmas and let's get it done. I second the motion.
Ms. Simmons, please call the roll.
Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Holcomb,
Yes.
Chairman Beanbaugh,
Yes.
Commissioner Ritz Parker.
Yes.
Okay, this is time, I guess, for the commissioners to, they want to mention anything, so I'll start with Mr. Griffin.
Sure. Just been thinking about a lot with respect to our project on the west side of town. The comments in the paper, a lot of communications with respect to Williamson Road. Our, obviously, 5-year, 10-year capital plans. Seems like to me, since we own a lot of land out there, we being the UC and the ratepayers, we should try to take the lead on this as far as the process is concerned. I'm just recommending or just suggesting this to Mr. Chairman as well as Mr. Vice Chairman here. And maybe we put together a workshop of our own in January to get our ducks together, act together, and have a chance to continue to review all the capital plans being proposed, try to understand where the fire is going to be coming from with respect to outside interests, and continuing to ensure that we're looking out for our ratepayers and the UC. Just a suggestion and just some thoughts at the end of the year. It's a time to start the new year fresh. And Jack, you were quoted in the papers, again this week, and I think we should jump at the opportunity to get out in front of it.
I spoke with Mr. Mitchum, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I forget, or it was after the last meeting, I forget when it was. But one of the things that I guess, it's the unknown. So I think the workshop's a good place to start for us to ask questions. What our heartburn is, what our concerns are. As I spoke to Mr. Mitchum, one of the things I said, I don't know how you can be opposed to something you haven't been sold on yet. So for me, I would like to, I would like to hear, I mean, we've got this, what'd you call it, Derek? Loosely conceived conceptual plan?
Bubble.
So I think we have an idea where we're going, but, have we put any questions to it? It's one of those things when you're out in public, you want to be able to, I don't want to give somebody an answer. I want to be able to, on something this big, I want to be able to definitively stand in front of somebody and say, this is absolutely the best thing for the utilities and the Utilities Commission and the ratepayers. So I think we, as a body, need to be more informed. That was what my concern was, is that, again, I can't oppose something that if I don't know what we all are trying to do with it. But we get questions, and we'd like to be able to answer those with some confidence of, it's tough to look somebody in the face, but I really don't know, because we haven't been told. And not, I don't want that to imply that it's, I just think when you have the county finally show up, and that was my biggest concern when people would approach me, as I would come back to Mr. Mitchum, and I'd say, this is what I was told. And he's like, Jack, no one's approached us. So now we've finally been approached. It was nice to see the county stand up there and actually act like they were willing to work with our concerns with, because it's the first time I'd heard, your concern's always been the same. And it's never wavered one bit.
Correct.
It was nice to hear the county go, we hear you, we understand it, and we think we can work around that. That's what I got from their conversation. I also believe the county's gonna own the road, and the Utilities Commission owns the property, and the city's obviously in the middle, but again, the two of us, it's, we're giving up our land,
Yeah.
they're paying for it. Those are the two largest voices, and then obviously you gotta have a city in the middle of it. I don't think you exclude them, but they need to be a part of it, but it's not, I think there needs to be an agreement first between the county, correct, and us,
I think
before
there'll
you.
need to be an agreement for all parties involved. We
Right.
did have a contact, I believe Derek met with the gentleman from the county, just to kick off some, see what they're looking for. And I still don't know that you got anything concrete for them, but they did, address that they would like to sit down and talk as to where
Good.
they have a starting point and end point. It's all where it's gonna move
Right.
between there.
And that's basically it, a starting point and an end point of where they'd like to go.
Right.
That's the beginning.
Right.
So-
Yeah, but again, that's a lot further than we had, and it sounded like from you when you were up here, because of where you're at with the beginning phases of the design, you even mentioned that after you got done with it, you saw some things that you'd like to change, or spaces you'd like to move internally in your own plan, that, moving a road through there is very possible, but it's a lot easier done at the beginning than it is after you get done with what you need to be done, and then we try to stick a road in the middle of it after we're done with our plan. So I think we need to be forceful, because here's what I want. I want to make sure that we're pushing them as we move our plan forward. They understand the importance of, if you want to be a part of this, then you need to work with us as far as, you can't let us design what we're going to design, stand on the sidelines, not engage, have us be done, us reaching out to them to say, hey, we need to have your input, where does this go? Because we have a capital plan in place
Right.
that we are moving forward with, so it's kind of, they can't wait 4 or 5 years and go, hey, by the way, when we're already done, or in the process, and say, hey, now we want to stick this road all through this, and it doesn't make sense. I want to make sure when it's all said and done with it, we've reached out to them and said, we've demanded that if you want a road there, it's time to play ball. And if they don't get back with us, or they don't do their due diligence, or they're not being, I guess, engaged, then I don't want it to come back to where somehow we were the ones that caused the heartburn with the road. So, because what I've heard here is a willingness to work with them on their road. Now it's,
Sure.
but they still don't have money. We have a plan. We have our money budgeted. It's time for them to go find their money, if this road's that important to them, and to get back to us and say, this is what we need from you.
Exactly.
So-
Or agree as to, everybody agrees as to where the road's gonna go when the
Go.
funding's
Right.
available to do so.
Right, but they need to be, right, they need to be knocking our
Yeah.
door down, knowing that we have this plan in place, that we're moving forward with, as far as building stuff. It's a lot harder to put a road through something after something's already done, or it just doesn't make sense to me that we would break ground on anything without that road being, and I don't mean to slow us down or stop us. I mean them engage us with what they need, so we can figure out how to make it work within our plan. So I just, like I said, I just don't want us at the end of the day to be the ones that somehow this is our fault because we didn't engage, because I don't believe that to be the truth right now.
I agree with Mr. Griffin. I like the idea of us doing something in January to move forward more on this. And the other issue that I still have concerns over, I really did so much appreciate the proposed plan that you presented to us here at the last meeting. I guess, was it the last meeting? And, but the thing that still gives me heartburn is using 44 frontage. I think that's something I still want to take a look at, because it's extremely valuable property, and I think we do have a fiduciary responsibility to get the best bang for the buck all the way around here. So I don't want to just keep going and going and going until it's too late to do anything differently with 44 frontage. So I'm just saying that for the record. I hope that that can be part of our discussion in January.
Exactly.
So, right, so like I said, I think we need to have set a date for a workshop, so you could probably get back with us with some dates, right? And then
We'll look at it.
first quarter of next year, you know, January, February, set a date
Sure,
for
whatever's
it.
convenient.
And again,
Get started.
you know, in understanding this whole thing, when people start talking about 800 and 900 acres, when you say, okay, you know, and I'm with you, 44 is where my heartburn's at, is where the value's at. I don't know that deep into back off of 44 that there's a whole lot of value back there, like there is the frontage of 44. I have some concern about putting industrial buildings on 44.
Well, and the things that you explained to us, you know,
Right.
made so much sense to me as far as the wetland stuff is there,
Yeah.
the place where you could do additional wells, it's further away,
Right.
it's not subject to saltwater intrusion. I mean, there's all these really good
Right.
reasons why you've done everything that you've done with so much of that property, plans for that property. It's just the 44 frontage that gives me heartburn.
So I don't think and that's, I'm glad to hear you say it, because that's kind of, if there was value in our property, that's the only value that I see, where if someone wanted to come forward and if we could break off a chunk, that would be the only part that I would even be in. You know, again, it's, what you don't know is what you don't know until someone shows up with it, but
Let's take a look.
that's really the only value or heartburn, because
Yeah.
you want something nice on 44, you don't, all of a sudden, we don't have all these, and Derek said in the last meeting that we wouldn't have, because I don't plan on putting an industrial or a metal warehouse on 44. So, but I think we need to have that meeting, figure out what, if there are options, what, you know, what would restrict us from looking at value on, and I wouldn't even know how to break that property apart and how deep or valuable, or how much you'd want to even make available on 44, or how much you feel that you could even, if you had to, how much you could give up, you know, on 44, if that was, you know, and again, because that's the questions we get. How can you possibly do this? How can you possibly, this property, that's all I get approached with when on that subject. I just want to look at it, because Mr. Hoover came up and talked about the water. 100% understood that. I think we start moving stuff around, we're starting to create liabilities for ourselves, expense for ourselves. That made, I was so glad to have that conversation, and because I understood it, and I understood what it meant down the road. So that's easy to look somebody in the face and say, hey, this is why we've got to do this. This isn't a matter of want, this is a matter of need. We have to do this. So getting us a little more in tune with what's going on, I think helps us defend those. And again, if the communication from the ratepayers in this community, it's probably 90% about that property. And it's no one's raising their hand going, I want to buy it. It's just everybody's got an opinion.
Right.
So it's not like that. So I'd just like to be able to solve that. I would ask, in that workshop, are we better just having one internally with ourselves first, and then figuring out if we were going to have another one, who we'd want there? Because it's time to get some people on the record for saying, this is what we want, this is what we're looking for, versus a lot of speculation and loosely phrased questions or asks or demands. I don't like that. I like that if they want something, then identify it and let's look at it and vet it. So
Perhaps, Mr. Chairman, it would be best for me to get with Mr. Mitchum and come up with my proposed revisions to the bubble plan so that it makes sense from a utility standpoint,
Right.
that we've got the utilities where they need to be, instead of where they can go.
right.
And then take another look at it. And I don't know that I'm gonna have time between now and the next commission meeting or a special meeting to have that prepared. I've already started that, that's the good news.
Right.
But I probably need to sit down with Mr. Mitchum and come up with what we would need to do on that.
What's a reasonable amount of time? So maybe the February meeting, the March meeting, tell me.
Probably between the February and the January meeting.
So we'll revisit the question on progress in the January meeting?
Sure.
And then we'll see where you're at and move forward. Because I don't think we're in danger of anybody building a road next week, so.
We are not.
Right,
No.
so I don't think that February or March is gonna make that big a difference. All right. That's all, like I said, that's my, it's just being able to,
Mr. Vice Chairman,
go ahead.
would suggest we get together first.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I think,
All right.
and there's a lot of things we need to do ourselves with respect to the plan and understand where we are aligned and get some more time involved with it and a lot of good explanation and help. So then we'll be ready for the, maybe a second workshop where we can start to bring in the other stakeholders and then find out who else
So
wants in.
basically kind of saying, okay, the three players, city, county, us.
Right.
What we would want from them
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, what we're gonna need for them moving forward, and basically kind of timelines. If this is what, you know, we have dates and budgets, and we have a plan that says we're gonna do this on this date, this year. I think we've got the egg or the chicken, I don't know which one we got for, we've got it, and now they need to figure out which one they've got. So, we're moving forward, our plans are set in stone, even though we're a little bit behind, but, I think it's time for them to do the same, to say, this is what we want by when, and let us be aware of what it is, because I still have yet to see that.
Right.
Jack,
Yes,
I want to make sure I heard what was said. I think Lee said that he thinks there should be two meetings, one, our meeting to get what we're doing, and then another meeting where we invite everybody. Is that what was said?
Not exactly. I was just suggesting or recommending we meet together first.
Okay.
And then-
I agree.
Then our course of action will determine whatever the next meeting is, or, but we would
Okay.
get together
Let me-
first, Mr. Chairman.
Let me make another suggestion that Derek
Sure.
put in a couple of suggestions where he thinks he'd like to see this road so that he can design the other stuff easily, and where he has an idea or one or two suggestions where he'd like the road to go.
He's got a smile on his face.
We're
I'm just
looking
curious,
at those.
I would hard to believe, after all the conversations, you don't kind of have it somewhere parked in that.
Well, Merry Christmas to you too, Chairman.
But I think it helps when you're designing to what you want.
I think I've stood here and said that I've tried to accommodate multiple locations of this road, so.
That's what
It's,
We have a couple options we're looking at, but I do need to meet with the county again. Honestly, like you said, there's a lot of opinions out there, and nobody's got money.
Right. No,
Who at
So-
the county, is it beyond the realm of comprehension, though, that everybody could not agree, like formally sign off on something, come to an agreement and say, hey, when the funding is available, this is where the road is gonna
Well,
go,
that's
so
where we
everybody
need to
can
go,
plan
but we've got to
accordingly?
get with them to get that point. As I said, up until this past month,
Okay.
they hadn't even been here.
So who will you be meeting with at the county?
We'll be discussing that with Derek and getting with the county as to who can make those decisions and what we need to do.
my guess is on a subject of this magnitude, there's going to be multiple agreements that the various commissions and councils will have to agree to.
Okay,
The first one might be that we agree to agree. And that might be as simple as, like you stated, is when the money's available, the county will build it. My guess is we're probably going to talk about this road for the next several years in various forms of agreements and exhibits and that kind of, those kinds of considerations.
But in those, when you say a couple of years, though, in that couple of years, we're gonna have structures and infrastructure starting to be put in place, so.
Well, the first agreement's going to be the important one. Where's it going?
Right, so that's, and we're there sooner than later, so it's time for them to get off their duffs and commit to it. Because that's, again, with Mr. Mitchum, I've had a clear answer every time. With the other folks that have approached me, I've had a lot of, not a lot of wants, but not a lot of, this is what we'd like to see, but we don't really have the means, or we can't get there. So I just, it's time, because here's where I see this happening. We're gonna follow through with our capital improvement projects. We're gonna do exactly what's been approved for this commission, commissions prior to us for years. It's not any secret, it didn't pop up out of the blues here. We're gonna do what we said we're gonna do for many years, and then all of a sudden, we're gonna be done with what we said to do, and they're gonna finally raise their hand and go, hey, I can't believe you guys won't work with us. I just don't, I wanna be able to, in good faith, say, we did everything we could to give you the best chance to give you your road where you wanted it at the right time. At least that way, it's not gonna be, you can't sit there and say the Utilities Commission didn't work with us. That's all I wanna make sure that we're clear on.
We won't let that happen.
All right, thanks. Okay.
can I ask another question?
You can ask all you want.
Okay, and I know we talked about this before, and I'm sorry that I don't have the date in my head. Mr. Mitchum, When is your retirement date?
January 31st of 2019.
1/31/19. And where are we in the process of trying to find your successor?
We have got the bids back, proposals. We are finishing those up, and that will be presented in January
Okay, great.
for the search.
Just curious, how many people bid it?
Three.
Three.
Yes, three.
Okay. Didn't know that date, did you?
What's that?
Didn't know that date, 1/1.
Yeah, really, you didn't have to look it up.
All right. Everything else, kind of not really sure on. That one, he's pretty positive on. That's right. So,
That one I'm sure of.
yeah, right. And the goal, just if you're not clear, we were gonna bring ever who we would hire 6 months prior to you leaving, or in that time frame. In
Well, I
a
think that'll be a
time frame.
negotiating part of it.
Some overlap.
Some
Yeah.
overlap.
Time frame,
so
some
we're just-
overlap, correct.
yeah, That person's not coming on and then the second and going to work. So hopefully we have a seamless transition.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? Mr. Biedenbach?
No, sir. Thank you for running it, Jack.
Okay.
Good job, Mr. Holcomb, and Merry Christmas, thank you. It's been a great calendar year, and we're off to a good start with respect to our new fiscal year, and you all are the ones making it happen, and thank you very much.
All right, well, this meeting's adjourned.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Bill.
I don't think that I didn't get online.
Good job.
Once they go